Hello everyone and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So today I wanted to talk about leveling up from 1 all the way to 60, 62, 66. And I want to talk about this more on the solo side of things, whether you like questing or grinding, and not getting boosted all the way to like 63 from, leeching Gyphins and stuff. But from an actual beginner perspective of how do I level up in this game? So I made a little bit of a note list of things and places I would grind, and also we'll branch it out into if you like questing, which we'll talk about as well. So with that said, let's say you're new to the game and you have no idea what to do. Chances are you're starting in Western Guard Camp at level 1. You do your questing. By the time you get to Velia, you're probably around level 15, 16-ish, and maybe higher if you actually do everything. But for people who just go directly to the main story, there's a few quest lines, basically the tutorial, and you go from here all the way to Velia, get you 15 or so levels, do the red nose boss. And so next, what I would do, also for the record, you can watch all of these too. I have these on video, so I'll leave some links to my seasonal videos and my actual guide that's step by step on how to do it. Those are kind of longer videos, like an hour plus. So if you want to actually watch and see me doing it, that's something you can do, but just know they're kind of on the longer side of things. But anyway, with that said, if you are playing for the first time and you're just doing the story, you'll probably level up pretty quickly, so don't worry about that. But if you're just new to the game and you don't care about the story at all, you just want to level up, what I would go do is run down from Velia, down to Heidel, and down to Castle Ruins. Assuming you are playing this with or without the fat XP buff right now because of the event, let's just say that there's no XP buffs because, let's say you're watching this a year or two down the line. What I would do is go down to Castle Ruins. It says 18 to 21, but you could realistically, even without adventure journals and everything, you could probably go there around like 16 to mid 30s if you want to, if you really like it. So this is one of the spots I would recommend. Also, I recommend if you were to get like extra foods on the market, I wanted to make sure that they're cheap enough for newer players. And I think if this is your first time playing the game, they kind of give you so many rewards these days to the point where you'll have a little bit of silver to spend. And one thing I would recommend is probably a simple cron meal that just gives extra XP. This is something you could buy really easily. What other things do new players get? They'll probably get a bunch of like combat and skill XP things, and all of these just by either new player rewards or seasonals. So I'm making sure to not include, things that are very expensive, things that don't require pearls to spend, and just things you can get that are fairly cheap. So yeah, with that said, you probably have some of these as well. And if you're new, but not like day one new, you could probably buy some of these from the loyalty shop that they kind of give out. So yeah, those are some XP boosts. Next thing I would do, if you are, let's say, mid-level 20s to lower 30s, what you could do is Bloody Monastery up until mid 30s, or you could stay there to 40 if you wanted to. That's kind of on the higher side, admittedly, but some people just really like grinding in one spot, so it's okay. But Bloody Monastery, it's an easy rotation. The reason why I'm choosing this one is because it's an oval grind spot, so even if you don't know how to play your class that well, or you don't know the rotation, it's a big circle, so like it's very hard to get lost, and it's just something that's very beginner friendly. And then same with Castle Ruins, it's kind of like, look at this thing, you go in from here and then you do a big circle around this entire thing over and over. So that's literally the rotation. This thing over here, you see how you start from over here. This is I don't know. Is that the node manager? I don't know. Either way, you go down here, you go near the little monastery, and then there's a little circle like around here, and then you just do a loop. So with that said, if you're in your mid-level 30s, low 40s, what I would recommend is Mascal Forest. Now this one I would say is more on the beginner side of things, because the rotation would be just like down here. You're into forest and you do just a big circle, pretend this is the node manager, and you just go like here, just walk around and do a circle until the node manager again. This should bring you upper 40s or 50 if you wanted to. But for everyone who like keeps up with the gear pace and everything, what I would also recommend is, where is it? Oh god, I know where it is, but it's the Marnie realm or something. Marnie's lab, somewhere down here. Hold on, I know where it is. That's embarrassing. Trader's Graveyard is also a nice one, but not here. All right, here it is. Marnie's lab in the level 40 to 43 area. At least that's what it recommends. I personally don't really like this spot just because the rotation is kind of like uphill, downhill kind of thing. But the XP is decent here, enough that you shouldn't be here for more than like 20 minutes. So you could stay here till 50 if you wanted to. I personally try to get out around like 45. And then where I would go next is probably to the Catfishman camp. You don't have to go like super far from Marnie's lab, and you just find like the shore somewhere around here. And then the monsters will spawn pretty quickly. And even if you're in like low to Vala or even Naru gear, you can do it. I've personally tested this myself. And basically you just go around the shore around here. There's a few different rotations, and then you just kill a bunch of enemies. And then this should get you to 50, 51 if you really like the spot as well. And then by 51, it gives you the point where it's like, oh, okay, so do this quest. Once you're level 50, it means that you're out of the tutorial and you can get PvP'd and all that stuff. Trust me, it's fine. I know some people are like, oh my god, I PvP. Trust me, you won't get PvP'd unless you're actively going for it. But with that said, 50 to 56. If you are a very new player, what I'd recommend and what I do on seasons is I go to Soldier Cemetery. The reason why we go here is it's a big oval rotation. It's super easy. There's not many people here as well. And also, if you're a new player without too much inventory or weight limit, there's an NPC around here where you can just sell all your trash loot. That means you don't have to go back to town and everything is just here. So you could grind here. I believe from 50 all the way to 56 is probably like 30 minutes, assuming you have not all the buffs, but like you would use this one as well, from 15 to 60 every day. Or hold on, let me show you. So this buff right here, you can use it from 15 to 60, and yeah, you get one of these every single day. So with that said, let's say you're 56 now. You do your awakening or succession line, or actually you do both of them and then you pick which one you like. What I would recommend doing then is going down to Polly's Forest. From down here, you should probably have, some Tuvala gear if this is your seasonal. And you could start here at 55. I personally would recommend staying here all the way to 60. You can stay here to 61 if you wanted to. And then, it gives a bunch of skill points, and you should have a lot by then. So by the time you're like level 60, you probably have all your skill points for every skill, whether you play Awakening or Succession, you just have everything. And I would say once you're at level 60, 60, you probably have everything. One skill, I guess this is a bad example because I'm on my fishing character, But this passive right here, every class gets one. So at level 62, you get some extra damage, and it's a passive over here. So I would say level 60, maybe 62 is where the game really begins. And that means like where you grind depends on where you're or how much gear you have. So what I would recommend for all of you who are at level 60, maybe 62, is it's not where you grind because of your level. It's more of like a gear check at this point. So places to level quickly from like 60, maybe 61 is... Okay, so you're going to have to go into the Elvia realm. It's over here. I don't know if you have to do a quest or anything, or you just kind of unlock it these days. It's been a while. But down in Elvia or camp right here, this is probably around like 260-ish AP recommended. And let me show you. Elvia or camp is around 260. I guess I might be skipping a step because by the time you finish seasonals, you're probably around 240-ish AP. And so 240, what I would recommend doing is probably grinding in the areas around here, going for your infinite potions if you want to. It's a very important thing for newer players to get infinite potions. So like Forest Renaros, Monshums, a lot of these things, they're not the highest amount of silver, but you're going for some items that you're going to use at very end game, so I don't think it's a complete waste. Aside from that, you could also go down into, you know, other spots like Shuriken and Thornwood. It's not too bad early on. And then once you get to like roughly 250, 260, you would start going into Elvia or camp. Now, this is where I stayed back in the day, Elvia or camp. It's a high amount of silver, and you can honestly push level 64-ish here. And then you're probably around like 260, 280 AP by this point. And then after that, like once you're around 280, a lot of spots open up. And after that, where would I recommend? I would recommend Honglim Base around here. This spot is actually very good for a lot of people around 270 all the way up to 300. It gives a decent amount of silver, and also the chance of you getting a lot of crystals that you might need in the future is always good. And so I would recommend Honglim Base at 270 for silver and XP a little bit. Other than that, after that, if you're pushing for levels, it really is just Underground Gyfin. Now, I remember that people were like, oh, if you want to go for XP, you should just look at this. Hold on, let me find one. I think one of them has a tag for XP. Yeah, combat XP. I made a video of this that I'll leave in the description where we go into a lot of detail on all the best spots for XP. The game does not even recommend Underground Gyfin for XP, even though it is the #1 spot in the game. So if you want my tips and, you know, my thoughts on all the best grind spots for XP once you have a decent amount of gear, video will be in the description. And yeah, I think this is a little bit outdated. So with that said, keep that in mind. And if you want more details on what is actually good for XP, check out the video. But anyway, if you don't really care and you just want to look at this, what I would recommend for XP, Upper Gyfin is decent. Obviously, Polysaurus we talked about is earlier good, and a few others. Sakraya is not the worst. Mirror Mock is also pretty decent. So yeah, after you get to a certain AP bracket, it's really just you grind for silver and then you get XP on the side. So I think that's the best way to look at it. I know if you came from another MMO or like anything else, you're probably like, oh, I got to get to max level first and then get my gear. In this game, it's gear first, XP is secondary, because when you level up, you do get stats, but the diminishing returns and the amount of time you spend grinding is way different, to the point where you'd rather have more gear. So you're going to be grinding for silver to get gear upgrades, and then you grind for XP. So it's a little bit on the opposite side, but it's not too bad. And yeah, so after that, I have a lot of videos on where to grind for most silver, XP with Agris, and all the other stuff. So if you want to watch that, that's cool. But anyway, let's talk about where to go level for questing. So I'm going to assume you're level 56 at this point. What you want to do is start around, where is it? Yeah, you would want to start around the Brelin farm and basically do all the quests. And if you don't see it, one thing you should do. So I think by default, it's all off. Like if they are gray, that means the quests aren't going to show. So what you do is just click this all button. And then if they're yellow, that means they're on. Why they're off by default, I have no idea. They should be on. So just make sure to check that regardless. And then so you start at the Brelin farm. You do the quests here. You get a couple of percentages. And I guess I forgot to talk about one thing. If you are questing without grinding, you're going to need this one thing, the Chenga Shuriken Tomb of Wisdom. And what this allows you to do is gain combat XP through quest rewards. And that allows you to basically spam easy quests, get a few percentages, and it's really easy. So I think I would recommend doing it from like 60 to 61, because that kind of takes more and you get percentage XP. But you could do it from 56 if you really don't like grinding. So Brelin farm, do a bunch of quests here, and then go to the supply fort, few quests here. Basically, you're making your way down into Star's End, going down here, doing all the quests here. From Star's End, there are a few. It's Ash Forest, but it is kind of, if you don't know what you're doing, you might actually run into some sketch Ash Forest mobs. So I usually don't recommend this for beginners. But then down at the Loopy Tree Forest, there's a bunch of quests here. It's just like kill a few of these, decent amount of XP, and some more of that. Then you go to the Acre Guard Post. There's a bunch of quests here, get a few percent. Once again, I know I'm just talking about this very vaguely, but if you want to see me actually do it, I'll try to leave some videos in the description so you can follow along with it. And then down at Tooth Fairy Forest, the mushrooms that are like, you just kind of back and forth questing down to Tooth Fairy Cabin, and eventually you make your way all the way to Grana. And then there's a bunch of town quests you do here. It's very trivial, tedious fetch quests, but it does give you a bunch of XP here. So once you're in Grana, if you followed the line down here, followed it down to Grana, chances are you got a bunch of levels and you're probably like mid level 60 to 61. And then, yeah, so assuming you started at like 58-ish, you could probably get to 61 by questing over here. It takes like, if it's your first time doing it, probably like 2-ish hours. If you're speed running it, you don't listen to the story or anything, it'll probably take you about 30 minutes, maybe an hour. And then, yeah, so level 61, have decent gear, and that's how you do it without grinding. You're doing like very trivial tasks and maybe like kill 10 enemies here and there, but ultimately it's not like running in circles. So yeah, that's what you do. And then you just kind of go questing, keep doing the entire story. What I'd recommend is basically just doing all the stuff over here. You would think that doing all the Land of the Morning Light quests would give a lot of XP, but it really doesn't. So just make sure to do all of those and you'll figure it out. But with that said, after that, it's all about your gear and grinding for silver. So with that said, thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to check some of the links in the description if you're interested in more details to all of this stuff. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.